So without further ado, you know what we're going to do is we're going to start with Mark. Derek's like 5 minutes out, but so much to talk to Mark about. Mark Cuban. Hello.
Yeah, Derek's working on Mark Cuban time. Usually I'm the one that's late, so.
So prompt, on time.
Never.
So busy.
Never.
And I was trying to watch the game last night thinking, were you there? And you were there.
I was at the game last night. I got here about 3. Yeah, so it's fun. I mean, I like going to bed 3, 4 o'clock, getting up at 7. So I can sit here and talk to you, Brandon, you know. And Derek's the one who sleeps in. Okay.
But that's kind of how you roll, though. A lot or not? Or are you a 24/7 guy?
Yeah, fuck yeah, I am, you know. You got all these young dudes here who want to start businesses and want to try to kick my ass. Bring it on, bitches. There ain't no chance.
So, well, before we get to the overall, I just got to ask you, are you enjoying the Shark Tank? Have you been?
Do I look like somebody who's not having fun all the time? I mean, think about it. Why the fuck would I do anything if I'm not going to have fun?
That's true. Now, is there one particular project that was like enormous amounts of fun?
Mavs are fun when we win.
Fun.
Yeah, when we win. But yeah, the beauty of Shark Tank is not so much any one business, but it just sends. Anybody here watch the show? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The beauty of the show is that it just sends the message that the American dream is alive and well. That, when these people that can be a family with, an 11-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son from, Ames, Iowa, and they stand on that carpet in front of the 5 of us, and this was just a company they dreamed up in their kitchen, and now they're getting funding from one of us, and it's going from doing 40,000 in sales to $1 million in sales. Or, there's a deal I did at a company called Simple Sugars, which is one of my favorites. It's a lady named Lainey Lazari, when she came on the show. She was 19. She's from Pittsburgh, my hometown, and she has this scrub, that people use for skin, to soften your skin and everything. You should try it. And anyway.
Scrub.
So she came on the show. She had done $40,000 out of little office in Pittsburgh. She goes on the show, and she does $964,000 in business in the next 30 days. This year, she's on track to do $3 million. She calls me up. Now she's not even 21 yet, right? She calls me up 6 months after the show airs. She goes, "Mark, I got a question." I'm like, "What, Lainey?" She goes, "I got $1 million in the bank, and I don't know what to do." I'm like, "You're lucky you're not 21, because here's what I would do." But, we get her a tax accountant and we get her going. And then more recently, she was like, "I'm getting these offers and inquiries from people who want to buy me." And she's like, don't get mad, but they're talking buying for a couple $1 million. I want this thing to be big. I'm not going to sell until we're $30 million in sales. And she's not even 21 years old. And so, when you get to deal with somebody like that who just had a dream, more importantly, did the work, and just continues to grind and grow, then it's really rewarding.
What do you tell young people out there that have an idea, have a dream? What's the secret to the sauce?
Well, first of all, ideas are like assholes. Everybody's got one.
Okay.
It's not that big. The idea is the easy part. It's actually doing the work and grinding through it that's the hard part. But what I tell people in terms of, there's two things about success that I always pitch. One, that to me the definitions of success is waking up in the morning with a smile on your face, knowing it's going to be a great day. I mean, I was happy and felt like I was successful when I was poor, living 6 guys in a 3-bedroom apartment, sleeping on the floor, right? I mean, I was going to work hard to get somewhere, but I was having fun. But in terms of going out and accomplishing things, to me, the thing about it is finding something that you love to do and then trying to be great at it. Not everybody's going to get there, but if you really love what you do, then you're not working. I mean, it's the old saying, you never work a day in your life, but, no one ever quits anything they're good at.
Yeah.
And so getting out there, finding something you like, and it doesn't matter, like people say, okay, you're 19, 20, 21 years old, 23, 24, 25, and I don't know what I'm gonna do. That's okay, right? You don't have to have it all figured out right away. It's okay to, after school, hopefully you go to college, but if not, go out and get a job and get paid to learn. You spend all that money to pay to go to college, go out, get paid to learn, find some things that you like to do, maybe that you don't like to do, learn, and then along the way, hopefully you find something that you love to do, and once you love it, you go out there and try to be great at it and see how far it takes you.
Well, we have like a 41-year-old guy who's kind of unemployed, doesn't really know quite what he's going to do. So we probably need to bring him on. The captain, Derek Jeter. Thank you.
Nice to meet you, Derek.
How are you? How's everything? All right?
Good.
Hello, Jeter.
How are you? Hello.
See, I told him you would be dressed to the nines, and there's no way I could match that. So I got really dressed up.
They gave me a dress code. before I came.
How great does Derek Jeter look, though?
Thank you. Smart.
You're well rested. I mean, so
Been
you
a
don't
busy
have to-
week with you this week, yeah. We've been doing quite a bit.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of stuff. I mean, I'm concerned. You don't have a job right now. I'm trying to, we've been together. I want to keep you busy. I don't want you to get into a rut.
One, I do have a job, but two, if I didn't, I'd probably still be doing more than you.
True. Well, I thought we'd start off actually with one of your new companies, because you've got this entrepreneur spirit, the Player Tribune. We were talking to Mark earlier. It's like, Mark, if he was here.
He is here.
I'm saying if he was here with the Player Tribune and we were the Shark Tank here, like, what would you advise?
I like it. No, I like
what do you
Players
think?
Tribune. I sent Derek an email when I found out about it. I like it, right? Because you don't really hear a player's voice. In this day and age, particularly in this city, everything is about headline porn, right? No matter what you say, somebody needs to find the 140 characters of that and turn it into something that, other media can pick up, people can retweet, they can reblast and everything. And the Players Tribune gives players their own voice in a way that fans can trust, and the way that players can trust that their voice will be heard. And so is there a need? Absolutely. Then there's the business side of it, and that's the challenge, right? Getting out there and making sure that people trust it and that people will read it. And so far, the articles have been brutally honest. And when you do that, then people will come and read and turn to Players Tribune instead of some other traditional media like ESPN. So I love the concept. Now it's just a question of keeping on replenishing it and getting guys to write all the time.
Very true, yeah. I mean, that's the difficult part. I mean, there's, as well as anyone, a lot of people have great ideas, but turning it into a business is another completely different challenge. So that's what we're facing now. We have great partners. We have people that, we're working with. We partnered with Thomas Tull, legendary, and he's really big in the content space. So we're excited about it. We've got a little bit of a buzz, and our official launch will be in the middle of February.
Oh, you haven't even officially launched yet?
Not officially.
Oh, no. Oh, see? Ahead of the game. Yeah, that's awesome.
Derek, you're publishing. We see you got the book out there. The contract now just recently come out, and then your photo book. What's the plan, and what's your spirit about that?
Well, the publishing side of things, I've partnered with Simon & Schuster, and they allowed me to have my own publishing imprint, and the idea behind it was I get the fact that people are interested in content. I've been very, very careful in terms of staying as private as possible. So just because I don't share all my content with the world doesn't mean I don't get the fact that people are interested in it. And more importantly, I'm interested in people's stories. Have anyone here read the Andre Agassi book, Open? I mean, it's a wonderful book, and I learned quite a bit about Andre, not just his success, but I've always tried to learn from people's failures, and I like to see how they got into a particular point. And Andre's book was one of the best books that I've read in terms of autobiographies, and that's sort of the idea behind it. I'm interested. Everyone sees Mark Cuban up here, very, very successful. Brandon Steiner, very, very successful. But the thing is that I think is more interesting to me is the speed bumps that they encounter along the way. Yep. And I'm interested in telling people's stories, not just sports stories, but in all different walks of life.
Interesting. Your app. I just want to get back to the app. It's on the Player Tribune part. What's the concept behind that?
Well, I mean, it goes to failures, right? Derek's exactly right. You learn so much more from, your character is tested so much more when things aren't going well. About 2006, I got sued by the SEC. And when the government comes after you for something, it's a whole different feeling. It's a whole different battle. It took 8 years and a lot of money, but I kicked their ass, and the truth came out. But what I found along the way is that when someone's chasing you, when someone's fighting you, particularly when the gloves are off, they'll do whatever it takes to win. And in this case, the SEC did it. And they would take all the documents I had, all the emails, every message that I had, and if I said the sky was blue, they said, no, you wrote the sky was blue, but what you really were saying is the sky is green, and you were just trying to mislead us. Basically, they would take anything and create their own context. So I created an app called Cyberdust, because what's happening now in life is that whenever you send a message today, email, text, whatever it may be, post on Twitter, the minute you hit send, you lose ownership of that message, but you don't lose responsibility. And so we created an app called Cyberdust. And what Cyberdust does, it's Cyberdust. You can get in the App Store. And what it does is, when you send a message to another user, it has an algorithm that says, okay, this is how long it'll take to read it. When you're done reading it, add 30 seconds, and then the message disappears. It's gone forever. It is the ultimate privacy app. It's not like Snapchat where it can get hacked and everything. Never touches a hard drive.
How you spell this?
Cyberdust.
Yeah.
And I'm M Cuban on it, so you can add me. But the whole concept is, we read every day about a player who sent a text to somebody, and then all of a sudden, 2 years later, it shows up and it's being used against them. Or in my case, it was the government. So we created this app called Cyberdust, and not only can you send messages from one to one, but it also allows us to send blasts, what we call blast, one to many, so that you can communicate with as many people as you need to. But the key is, again, it's gone after you've read it. And to me, in this day and age, that's important, because our digital footprint just keeps on growing and growing and growing. If you have a Twitter account, there's probably tweets that you have out there that are 2, 3, 4 years old that you've forgotten about, and that's okay until something you said comes up and your boss sees it, right? Or the media sees it. Then all of a sudden it's used against you. Or look what happened with Sony. They get hacked. Right now, all we're reading on the front page of the Post is what all these messages said. Why are you keeping your emails for years and years and years and years and years, right, when there's no upside? So Cyberdust is a response to the fact that we need to shrink our digital footprint, because unlike even 5, 10, 15 years ago, today, when that stuff lives on, there's no upside. And so there's just a lot of reasons to be private. So it's Cyberdust.
I tell you, Mark, it'd be nice if you had a little passion about what you were doing. I mean, does that hit home for you though, Derek? Knowing with what you guys go through, but anytime there's an email or a text, are you worried about before you send that?
Yeah, well, I'm not a big texter. I mean, I'd rather have a conversation, I think.
Yeah.
But this day and age, like Mark says, is very, very important, because I know when people are hiring now, the first thing they do is, when they're hiring employees, is they go to their Facebook page and they check out their Twitter, and people can get jobs or not get jobs based on what's on those particular pages. So, I've been a firm believer in trying to protect your privacy as much as you can.
And today, like when you post something, on Twitter or Facebook, whatever, there's so many trolls. Yeah. People don't want to be nice and just interact with you, right? And so, again, Cyberdust is meant to be more like a face-to-face conversation. We're not taking notes here when we sit and talk. It's just gone when you're done talking. You remember it, and that's what we're trying to recreate, because it's just, we live in a confrontational world now, particularly online. And, whoever's tweeting about this, somebody's saying something nice, and there's 50 people saying, oh, you jerk, Cuban sucks, Jeter sucks, That's just the nature of the beast, and so there's got to be a response to that.
Mark, I don't think anybody says Jeter sucks.
Yeah, well,
I don't think so.
Maybe not in this city, but there's a whole lot of people in Boston, maybe.
Tell me what you...
They're here too.
Tell me what you see you've probably seen so much over the last 20 years in your career, probably happening at a record pace, people jumping in the locker room, running ideas by you. But with everything you've seen, Derek, what do you see happening over the next 10 years now? Do you have kind of a clean highway ahead of you?
For me personally, what do I see in the next...
And just generally, how are you going to interact from a business perspective?
Well, one thing is I think a lot of people just automatically assume that, I retired and I jumped right into the business world. But what I've always tried to do is learn as much as possible while I was playing. And in that sense, I learned quite a bit about business, whether it was being involved in the marketing side of things, philanthropic with the foundation I was learning, whether it's investment portfolio, I'm learning about that. So it's not like I just woke up one day and said, hey, I want to be a businessman. I have learned quite a bit. Having said that, I still have to learn a lot more. I think you know, in anything that you do, you're constantly learning. I played for 20 years in New York, and I still felt as though every day I was playing, I was learning something new. And if you're not learning something new, then I think there's something wrong with you. And so I love to surround myself with people that are much smarter than me, which is not very difficult to do because most people are much smarter than me. But, you know, my ultimate goal one day is to be a part of an ownership group. And, you know, I'd love to sit down with Mark and try to find out.
You sure you want to be part of an ownership group?
So I'd love to sit down with Mark and learn as much as I can from his experiences. So I'm constantly trying to learn. But from the business side, it's not like I'm just jumping in the water.
But 10 years down the road, if we were just looking into my crystal ball here, you're probably running and / owning a team?
I would like to. I'm not trying to put a time frame on it. You know,
maybe.
I think you do it when you're ready. I think the worst thing you can do is start any particular business or jump into a business and you're not ready for it because you want to be successful at it.
Amen to that. Yeah. I mean, just because you want it doesn't mean it's going to happen,
Yeah.
right? I mean, you know, we're talking about Bobby Knight, and I went to Indiana University, and when he was coach there, one of the things he said that caught my attention is everybody's got the will to win. Nobody goes into something thinking, I'm going to lose. Everybody's got the will to win, but it's only those with the will to prepare that do win. You know, and business is no different. You've got to do the work. You've got to learn. Like Derek was saying, you're always learning. I think that's what's allowed me to be successful because in the technology business, it's always changing every minute of every day. But that's an opportunity because most people won't do the work. They think, okay, I'm here. I know what I need to know. Whereas the more it changes, the more opportunity there is. So I love to be in industries that are always changing. Sports is no different. I mean, I met George Steinbrenner, 15 years ago and tried to pick his brain, right? And it was before I owned the Mavs. And
Oh, so you did prepare before you bought the Mavs?
no, I didn't prepare anything. It was just like, what the fuck, why not, right? Why wouldn't I? But I tried to learn just from people I thought that I respected and looked up to, put aside that they're in the sports business. And I mean, it's funny how a lot of successful people in sports on the business side will say, just be yourself. Right? But go out there and realize it's always changing. If there was one template for everybody to win a championship in sports, we'd all follow it. There just isn't. So you always have to be learning, to Derek's point. And the minute you slow down, someone's going to pass you by.
So you jump into
Dump in, yeah, absolutely dump in.
you jump into the Mavericks situation. It was just, you're just winging it? I mean, you just
Pretty much, yeah. Well, here, it's not like buying the Yankees with a long tradition. So I bought the Mavs. It'll be 15 years in January. And I remember it was opening night of the 99-2000 season. I was a season ticket holder. And it's opening night. We're undefeated. I'm excited, And so I go there, and, the place holds 19,000, and there were 14,000 maybe there. There's no energy in the building. I'm talking to my girlfriend at the time, now my wife, and I'm like, I can do a better job than this. And all of a sudden I was like, damn, I just got paid. I'm going to try to buy this shit. And so that was it. That was the whole process. So the guy who owned it was a real estate guy, not a basketball guy. Literally, to show you how much of a basketball guy he wasn't. When we were meeting, we were watching a game, and I was like, that's a travel. And he looks at me, okay, so a travel is. He just had no idea whatsoever. And so I just dove in. But talking about the difference in organizations, the only award that the Mavericks had won prior to my buying them, they were voted the worst professional sports franchise of the 90s.
So
there's only one direction I could go, right?
Big upside.
Yeah.
Derek, you mentioned about learning. Is there something that right now are you zoned in on learning? Anything particular now these days?
Everything. I've told you this before. My biggest fear in life is being unprepared.
Yeah.
I don't like to be unprepared. It makes me very, very uncomfortable. It was the same way when I was playing baseball. If I was unprepared, I felt as though the game would speed up. You hear about athletes talk about in big moments, for some athletes it slows down, for other ones it speeds up. And I think it slows down the more prepared you are.
Yeah.
So it's a big fear of mine. And, I do everything in my power to be prepared as possible. And a lot of that is knowledge. So I feel as though I've been a sponge for knowledge in everything that I've done. And I'll continue to be that way.
That's awesome. But do you think about do you go to take a business class? Do you have some mentors or?
Well, I think I'm learning on the fly. I think I'm learning a lot through experience. I think I'm probably learning more this way than I would in a business class because I'm learning through experience. So Almost feel like I'm doing an internship with a couple different businesses.
Who are some of your mentors? Like, I mean, do you have somebody you go to when you get stumped?
No. I'm like Derek, I just dive in, right? Whatever, if I think I need to be here, I try to figure out what I need to learn to get there to slow the business down. And, you know, I'll read 2, 3, 4 hours a day, you know, do whatever it takes to try to give myself an edge. You know, when I bought the Mavs, I'm reading the collective bargaining agreement. I'm reading every document I can find, just everything that I possibly can learn. Because I agree 100% with what Derek said. You have to be prepared. Look, business is the ultimate sport. You know, in baseball, there's not a time limit, but there's 9 innings and then there's a winner, right? Then you go to the next game. Basketball, 48 minutes and there's a winner and you go to the next game. Business is the ultimate sport. You're competing 24/7, by 365, by forever, and you don't even know who your competitors are 99% of the time. And so, you know, whatever business you're in, if you come into my industry, I'm going to try to kick your ass. And the only way to do that is to be prepared and to do the work and to always be learning. And so, yeah, I mean, I agree 100%. You know, preparation and doing whatever it takes to give yourself a competitive advantage, and that all the time, that's about learning.
The Shark Tank. I mean, in a sense, you almost have your own little mini version of the Shark Tank, but you're looking at ideas on a regular basis, or?
Yeah. I mean, I'm approached quite a bit, but you know, it has to mean something to me. You know, I'm not just going to attach my name to something just to put my name on it. If it doesn't mean something, then I don't want to be involved in it. And it's like that in you know, my previous career. Sounds weird saying that. My previous career, you know, winning and losing meant something to me. So it's the same thing in business, and there's a lot of similarities between business and sport, just like Mark said.
So I'm sure there are a lot of people that want to be in business with you. So is it hard to sort through all that, or?
Oh man, you know, the thing is I've spoken quite a bit about brand. You know, people always talk about brand. For me, I don't really like that word so much, but I also think people confuse brand and image at particular points. You know, image is what you want people to view you as. Brand is who you are. So once you have built up that brand, I mean, you got to try to protect it and you got to try to promote it. I mean, how you protect it is you surround yourself with people who are going to be honest with you. They're going to tell you right from wrong. You know, how do you promote it? You align yourself with companies and businesses that you believe in. So that's just the philosophy that, you know, I've been trying to use.
Probably a big challenge the next 5 years.
No, he's got it right on, man,
Yeah.
because he's not in a rush.
Yeah.
You know, people think, okay, now, boom, done, right? I got to go. And that's when people get themselves in trouble. And, you know, he's exactly right. And he said it better than I could, you know, brand versus image. And being able to manage and control your brand is about taking your time. It's about being prepared. It's about, you know, it's like on Shark Tank. You don't have to rush into a deal. There's enough things that come your way that you just wait for the right pitch. You know, literally, pitch, get it. See the little joke I made there? Pitch. Anyway. I thought New Yorkers were quick. Damn.
It's early. We're a late town, right?
Business is the ultimate sport. I love that. But hey, let me ask you this. On the Shark Tank, what's the difference between the people that come on the show that get a deal and the difference between the people that don't?
You know, they have real businesses or they have real upside. So there's 2 types of businesses that I'll look at. One is somebody who's taken it from idea to a business, but it's still early, but I think the upside is big. Or somebody who started to really grow their business, but they need that little boost. And so if I can give them that boost, you know, I'll look at my skill set and their skill set and say, if we complement each other, then let's do something together. But again, you know, and Shark Tank, let me qualify that. Shark Tank's a little bit different in that sometimes I just try to do the right thing. So like there's a company called the Living Christmas Tree Company. It's a guy named, changed his name to Scotty Claus. And what he does is he grows Christmas trees in unoccupied land in California. And then he rents the living Christmas trees to people. And after Christmas, when you're done, rather than throwing it away, he comes by, picks it up, and then replants it. And you can get the same Christmas tree. And there's families that have had the same Christmas tree for 20 years with him. And so it's just a cool idea. And but the business isn't big. He'll do $150,000. We did $150,000 last year. He'll do like $250 this year. But he employs like 40 veterans to go and pick up the trees and to plant and water and do all the work. And so sometimes it's just the right thing to do. And that's a little bit more important than how much money I can make.
So are you investing sometimes in people
Yeah, of course. Well, you got to
Above
have
and
both.
beyond the idea, or do you have to have both?
Yeah, you have to have both because, look, he is a great guy, but if the business didn't make sense to me, then he's not going to be around very long.
Yeah.
And so, it's got to be more than just the person.
I asked you about one thing. What's up with the 3D in the stadium idea that you came up with? What's going on with that?
Well, yeah. So it's a company called, I didn't come up with it, it's an Israeli company. So, I have this ongoing battle with NBA referees. And so.
No. You?
Enough so that they won't even let me in baseball, so it's okay. But there's this technology now where we're taking 5K, really super high resolution cameras, and we just installed them around the arena. And what it does, instead of working in video, the cameras turn all the video into data. And what's really cool about it, it allows you to recreate any perspective on the court. So if I want to know what did Dirk see, when he took that shot, literally, I can just run some software and it'll recreate the entire play. In baseball, if I wanted to see the pitch and the whole look of the pitch from the viewpoint of the pitcher, the catcher, the shortstop, the batter, whatever, because it's now data, it recreate it. If I want to see, now, like we all go nuts at the end of an NBA game when they review everything to see if it went out of bounds, and we look at normal video replays. With this, you'll be able to turn, it's as if, because it's all data, you could just turn the whole court and see who hit the ball and did it go out of bounds, literally, because it becomes data, and then that turns into virtual reality, and that you can, so many different things you can do. But I did it because anything that fucks things up, I like to do, and so.
I'm gonna write that down. Anything that.
It's the truth. That's my guiding principle. Fuck it up.
Your underwear. Not. That thing come out right.
Go somewhere
On that
else.
note, I'll leave.
Oh, boy.
What's wrong with you, man? You got problems, man.
It's turning red, too. That's it.
What is
The underwear company that, you're all thinking about his underwear right now.
No.
But the underwear company.
You sure you don't want to go somewhere else, man? Direction, please.
I am going there.
You didn't think
but
about
the underwear
this.
company that you are part of, it's about $100 for those briefs. Is there? You want?
This guy, son. Just stop.
I think we're going to go to the audience. We're going to go to the audience.
go
Take
to
some
the-
questions.
yeah,
Yeah, we'll
go to
take
the
some
audience.
questions from the audience. He didn't want to talk about his briefs.
Yeah,
so
this.
we'll take some questions. Was the microphones out there?
You didn't get much sleep last night, huh?
I actually did. Slept like a baby. Right here, yeah. Right.
How you doing? Derek, Mark, honored to meet both of you. My name is Roger. I have no problem motivating myself. I'm in business for myself, but I do have employees and a team. And sometimes it's difficult to bring that energy, like you said, Mark, into the team. How do you work that out?
How do I work it?
Yes.
I mean, my approach.
Derek
is always,
also, he's a captain. How did
He's
you
the captain?
motivate your team?
My approach is always the same. I want to be very clear what my vision is for the organization, and I also want to understand individually what your goal is and what my people's goals, the people in the company's goals are, and then it's my job to make them feel comfortable that I can put them in a position to succeed. Some people want to be the CEO. Well, if I'm the CEO, then let me show you how far I can grow your experience and your skill set so you can go somewhere and be CEO. If you want to be a clerk and just work 9 to 5 so you can spend more time with your kids, as long as I understand that and you understand and we have an agreement, then fine. I'll make you, accomplish as much as you can from 9 to 5 so you can be happy and spend more time with your kids. It's just really about communications and making sure everybody's on the same page and has an understanding of what the expectation is. Problems happen when there's not an understanding of expectations because you want them to go and catch up with you and do it, but not everybody's like that. And so you've got, as the entrepreneur, as the CEO, you've got to hire people that in the positions you need to go are ready to go. Because if you hire people who aren't, then it's on you for hiring the wrong people.
Yeah, well, Mark touched on that. The approach that I've always taken is it takes time to get to know the people that you're leading. You know what I mean? There's different personalities, and you know, one of the lessons I learned is, you know, I've said it time and time again, you don't treat everyone the same. Treat everyone fairly, but you don't treat everyone the same, and it takes time to get to know each individual. Some guys or women you can yell at, that'll motivate them. Other people you gotta put your arm around, you gotta hug them. But that takes time, and you know, you hear a lot about chemistry, team chemistry, or chemistry in business. Well, in my mind, chemistry means you have to have people that really care about it as much as you do. If you have enough people that care, then you're gonna have good team chemistry. If you don't, it's gonna be a struggle.
Yep.
Go ahead.
This is a question for Derek. I was just wondering what you thought about the new Yankee shortstop, Didi Gregorius.
You want to know what I think about that?
I don't know much about him, really. You know, he's in the National League at Arizona. I was not there when we played him. I think I was hurt. So I really don't know much about him. You know, I know people are excited about him, and I hope he does extremely well. He's very young. He's, 24, 25 years old, so hopefully he has a bright future, but I don't know enough about him to comment on him. Sorry.
Okay. I'm already.
Mr. Jeter, Mr. Cuban, honor to hear you both. I'm an entrepreneur with a few successful exits under my belt, much less than yours. Much less than yours. But the one thing I do every day, without fail, I get up super early and I work out. Even if it's just 20 minutes, I have to do it. It sets my brain for the day. To both of you gentlemen, the one thing you do every day that you must do, that you credit your day going well or going badly if you don't do it.
I mean, you can tell, obviously, I work out. You can see my, you can see my one pack, because it just, I've got to learn. You know, I've got to keep up, because I mean, it doesn't matter where I am in the world or what I'm doing. If I feel like I'm falling behind, then I feel lost, you know. And like I said, I'm so competitive, just so competitive. I just, you know, it just makes me feel, I just don't feel right if I'm not keeping up. So I have to read.
Yeah, it's similar. You know, like I said, you know, for me, it's preparation, like I mentioned. You know, I like to know what I have to do that particular day. In a previous career, yeah, I had to work out as well. Now I do it by choice. But yeah, you have to know what you're going to get yourself into that particular day and make sure that you're prepared. And for me, the way I always looked at it was, you know, Mark talks about being competitive. I think you always have to keep your eye on your competition, because you keep your eye on your competition, then it pretty much eliminates complacency. You know what I mean? You never sit back and say you have it made. Well, what's this person over here doing? It's going to make you work that much harder.
Did you go through that a little bit with the Red Sox during certain years? Were you kind of keep an eye on teams that were kind of breathing on you or in front of you, behind you?
Not any one team in particular. You know, I've always, when a season is over with, I always look in the mirror and see what I could do better. You know, I never reflected and said, oh, well, we accomplished this or we accomplished that. It's what's next. And, you know, I probably should have appreciated things a little bit more while I was playing, but my mind doesn't work like that. It's just what's next, what's next, what's next. And so I paid attention, but not to one particular team.
But it's different now as we get older, though, isn't it? Because there's always the young kid, the 24-year-old shortstop, right? The 18-year-old starting a company. And to me, that's even more motivating, because you know, we all want to stay relevant. You know, we all, you know, what's the Dazed and Confused? We keep on getting older and they stay the same age. You know, so yeah, I always talk about it, and you heard me earlier. I mean, I want to kick everybody's ass. I don't care how old you are, and so I always want to stay current.
This question's for Derek and Mark. Are you two willing to go into business together? Maybe to own a baseball team?
Well, Mark's
gonna
got
talk about underwear.
Mark's got the money, man. I don't have it. I'm still trying to get
Now
the
that Bud's
money.
gone, maybe I can get in.
I got no comment on it.
My best friend, Bud.
Hi, gentlemen. Good morning. I run a company called N2, Energy Sustainability Company, so N2 could be perfect for you, Derek. I'm wondering, now that you're getting into the
What
technology...
percent do I get?
Well, we have to talk about that, but that's the question. How do you vet companies that you may want to take an interest in? And that's a question for each of you. Do you have a process in place? Do you have a team? How could we get on your radar screen other than I just stood up now to ask you the question? Thank you.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a team that's in place. Like I said, I'm very good at knowing what I don't know. So I surround myself with people, like I said before, that are much smarter than me. But yeah, I have to learn about it. I have to, if it means something to me, and I'm not into putting my name or attaching my name to things just for the sake of being involved with them. It really has to mean something. So yeah, I would love to get to know some about your company, but yeah, there's definitely a process in place.
See, my process is a lot easier. I already told you how I communicate, right? So I want to know if you're smart enough to figure out the best way to reach me. Real easy. And then you send me a message, and I'm going to read that first paragraph or two, and I'm going to know. And if I'm interested, I'll follow up, and if not, I won't. It's just bam, bam, bam. And to Derek's point, I know what I know and know what I don't know, and I consider that a great skill to know what I don't know. And if it's outside my realm, I'm just going to tell you, I don't know anything about this, sorry, can't help.
But are you a fan of telling somebody like that, maybe you want to come on the Shark Tank? Is that a?
Yeah, I mean, look, I always tell people to apply on Shark Tank so I don't have to mess with them. Just go to abc.com/Shark Tank, apply. But yeah, no, if you get on Shark Tank is probably the best selling platform in America today. I mean, if you get your 10 minutes on Shark Tank, that's better than being on the homepage of Amazon for a week. There are a few places where you can tell the country, tell the world now, about your company and have it be repeated, 20 times. And so, yeah, if you can get on Shark Tank, go for it.
Who's next?
Right here. Derek, Mark, pleasure. I'm a sales professional. I've been in sales about 10 years myself. And I grew up as an athlete. I played collegiate sports. And the commonality among the different industries I've been in, from banking to the renewable energy field, specifically around sales, has been the sports analogy, teamwork, camaraderie, using the sports analogy to really, hone in your game for business and sales. And I've bought into this sales theory, this sports analogy theory many times, and I found holes as an athlete with that sports analogy, in the sense that I found it's really not, maybe perhaps it's the business organizations I've been working in, or even the profession of sales, that it's not the same thing as sports, in the sense that there's real teamwork, there's real camaraderie, but in the business world, specifically around sales, it's all about yourself. How would you respond to that, to somebody in a sales profession really trying to find real teamwork in the sports analogy? Thank you.
Man.
What was the question again?
Yeah. Was there a question? Yeah.
Sorry. In sports, there's teamwork.
Right.
In the business world, specifically in sales, it's around your own sale. And I've never found an organization that had the consistency of teamwork. And so
how many organizations have you been with?
3.
Maybe that's the problem. You've been with the wrong organization, because if you think about it, there's teamwork in all business. I don't care if it's individual. I mean, in baseball, it's individual. It's a batter against a pitcher. That's an individual moment, but ultimately, it's a team goal. So I think it's the same thing as sales. Any good business or organization that you're with is going to have to promote teamwork. That's just my opinion. Correct me if I'm wrong, Mark, if you have a different.
No, I mean, I agree. Yeah, I mean, look, here's what I heard. I don't know if there's real quick, but here's what I heard, because you kept on saying me, right? And when I have issues in organizations, typically people are looking from the inside out. Here's what I think. Here's what I need. Here's what's not right for me. Here's where things aren't working. And so whether it's sales or other parts of the organization, when it's everybody else is doing it wrong and you're the one that's doing it right, chances are it's not them, it's you, right? And so I always, again, it gets back to what we said earlier, that there's got to be communications, there's got to be teamwork. But if you find yourself in multiple organizations, regardless of the position, and you always think they're bad companies or they don't know what they're doing, it ain't them, it's you.
I think I always use the equation like, sometimes if you want to have a good friend, be a good friend.
Yep.
If you want to have a good employer, be a good employee.
Well, my version of that is if you really want to find success in an organization, reduce the stress of those around you. Don't increase the stress. If you find that you're increasing stress for people, you've got to rethink what you're doing.
That's so true. The other thing is just on a small note is that somehow we got lost along the way. It's like, what can the company do for you? And a lot of employees look at what's in it for me? What else can I get as opposed to what you can do? What else can you give? How can you make the company better? The customer experience.
What's got to go both ways,
yeah.
right? People want to feel like, Derek said it exactly right. It's teamwork, it's culture. People have to feel like they belong. It takes time to get to know people. It doesn't happen overnight. And, it's hard to have that patience to figure it out.
Sports ownership question for you, Mark and Derek. There's probably 120 professional sports teams, all worth over $100 million. I'm just curious, Mark, the D-League is growing. Do you think, as new franchises, that could be an interesting place both to learn as an owner, and also I'm curious in your long-term views of the economic upside of maybe owning a D-League as a step to becoming a professional
D-League
sports
team,
owner?
an NBA D-League team?
Yes.
Yeah, it's a great starting point to understand how to get into sports and to, do it for a lot less money. The big difference is between owning, another franchise in the D-League is that winning a championship is good, but it's not the ultimate goal. You're going to have it's like a minor league baseball team. You're going to have an affiliation, and supporting that affiliation is the ultimate goal. But it's a great way to learn. It's a great way to be part of the sports industry. It's a great way to develop young talent, both on the court or field and off in the back offices. So it's a very rewarding environment, but it's not quite the same because it's not just about winning a championship.
This question's for Mark right here.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yeah. I'm an avid user of CyberDust, actually.
Thank
for
you.
over,
CYBER.
Yeah, since the creation almost, I think a year ago, has it been?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the story is this guy offshore, he wanted to talk to me more, on a private level. So he said, use CyberDust as Mark Cuban's thing because of the SEC. So it's kind of
it's working.
funny. Yeah, it's working. And I've seen it grow too.
Yeah,
you guys just recently updated it, right? Yep. Yeah. So I'm an avid user, and it's a great app. I just want to say, and my username is Anus Muncher.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah, so add me. You can add me on.
That money I promised you in that, we got you now. Thank you.
This question's, this is for Derek. First of all, I want to say thank you for being such a great role model for all our children. If you could,
Thank you.
from a mom's point of view, you've been great. How did you stay after all these years of being so successful and so great? How do you stay so humble and so gracious and really didn't change you? I mean, as listening to you now, you're still just such a wonderful person. I mean, how do you keep grounded like you are?
Thank you. Well, I've been fooling you for a long time. No, I'm just playing. I think a lot of it has to do with, I'm a little biased, but I think a lot of it has to do with my family. I'm pretty close to my family. Anytime I do something, I always have it in the back of my mind. I don't want to disappoint my parents. It sounds funny because I'm 40 years old now, talking about disappointing my parents, which I'm sure I have before, but at least that filter, I have that filter in my brain saying I don't want to disappoint them. Then also, I think I've surrounded myself with good people. I think the key is, you have to surround yourself with people that are going to be open, they're going to be honest with you. They're going to tell you, pat you on the back when you're doing things good, but more importantly, they're going to tell you when you're doing things wrong. And I've had a close-knit group of friends for years, and I constantly go to them for advice, and my family as well. So I think it's the support group that you have around you that keeps you grounded.
You're not going to ask me about being humble?
Hi, Mark. But just one quick thing, Mark. Any regrets, though, on some of the, some of your aggressiveness, with the commissioner, with the league, the refs?
Not one. Not one. Not one.
The fines, all that? Nope.
I bought more coffee and donuts for those dudes than you can ever imagine. No, I mean, look, anytime I've gotten fined in the NBA, except right at the beginning, because I was just all new, except for a couple right at the beginning, it was always planned. And that's what pissed off David Stern and the NBA more than anything else, because I knew the process. I knew I was going to get fined. I knew that they would announce it to try to send a message to me. Then the media would come to me. Then I'd spin it to my advantage to send a message, on what I wanted to accomplish. And what's ended up happening is, the internal operations of the NBA, whether it's officiating or some other marketing areas, it's 180 degrees different than the way it used to be. So it was an expensive lesson, but I think it accomplished what I set out to accomplish. So yeah, particularly in that area. But I go back to what Derek said. It still comes back to family, right? Because of all the things you can do and everything that happens, my biggest fear in life after my family's health is I don't want my kids to be entitled jerks, I want them to have to go and learn the same way that I did. And so if there's anything I get concerned about, that's where it all comes back to.
Hi, Mark.
We are in New York.
Mark, I'm a big Shark Tank fan.
Thank you.
Right here.
There.
Hey, what's going on? Mark, I want to first thank you for investing in my best friend's company.
Which one?
Ocho.
Ocho,
Just
yeah.
launched, yeah. Smart money follows smart money. I was one of the
Tell me
first
to get back to work. Yeah.
All right, sounds good. How do you stay up with everything? You run how many different companies? You're involved in the Mavericks. You own the Mavericks. You run, you're Shark Tank.
I love what I do.
Day.
I mean, I don't.
But how do you organize? How do you prioritize your time?
In terms of prioritizing my time, I don't do phone calls. I don't do meetings unless you're writing me a check. If you're writing me a check, I'll even wear a suit if it's a big enough check. Really big check. Sometimes, but people, the way I work with the companies I invest in or even and that I run, everybody knows that they're going to send me a weekly report, and in that weekly report, it's bad news first. I expect good news. I don't need you to tell me the fluff. I expect good news. So if there's anything wrong, I want to know about it immediately so I can deal with it and I can help you. As good things happen, great. I mean, we want to celebrate those as they get big enough, but I don't need to get all the fluff. And so because of that, as I develop relationships with people and they get to know how to work with me, that's my communications tool. And if I need to go out, I'm going to Pittsburgh tomorrow, and I'll meet with two of my companies there. So there's a point in time where I'll go and spend time. But typically, I'm not going to say, oh, okay, let's get on the phone, let's chit chat.
So how many calls a day do you take?
Phone calls?
Yeah.
My wife and my general manager and my coach. That's it. No one else can call me.
That's it?
Well, Derek, I'll give you my number. But and you know what I'll do when he calls? Oh, that's Derek. I'm going to text you back. Cyberdust me, and we'll talk about it. That's it. And my wife.
So you're really disciplined about this. I mean, you're really not doing calls.
No. I mean, because to me, there's only so many hours a day, and I want to be productive. I want to get things done. I want to be prepared. And it's like, so how's the kids? What did the Mavs do? It's like, okay, first of all, if you're asking me what the Mavs did last night, fuck you, because you're not a good enough friend, and you should already know, right? You're right. Like, how'd the Yankees do last? Doesn't that drive you crazy? How'd the Yankees do yesterday? Seriously? You're trying to do business with me, and it's not even worth the time to look to see how we did last night? So
I'm prepared.
On the right, over here.
How'd the Mavs do last night?
We won, bitch. How's that?
All right. You're a great role model, Mark. I guess this is for both of you guys. And it's easy to talk about the wins and successes, but the biggest speed bumps that you ran into in your careers, and how'd that, motivate you to keep going?
Man, there's a lot. There's so many. I think the key is everyone's going to have speed bumps. You just don't want it to become a roadblock. And for me, I started my career. I signed the day after my 18th birthday, so I'd never been away from home. So it was dealing with being homesick. Most importantly, dealing with failure. I grew up in Kalamazoo, Michigan, and really, when it came to baseball, and I'm not trying to sound a certain way, but it came to baseball, I really had never struggled. I mean, it's a really small town, and then now you're going into the professional arena, and there's a lot of struggle. So dealing with struggle is a speed bump. Getting to New York, dealing with the media, dealing with criticism on a daily basis. We play a game of failure, so dealing with criticism and every single day, and negative questions every single day, it's definitely a speed bump, but I never let that turn into a roadblock.
Yeah, I mean, for me, there's a long list. I mean, I can tell you, coming home with the lights turned off. I mean, I remember being 27 years old, and I tell the story all the time, going to the ATM, and it's empty, right? It's negative. In fact, my first company, getting a call from the bank and saying, you know, we've been getting these checks where the payee is whited out, and there's this lady by the name of Renee Hardy who put her name in there, and she took all your money. Well, she left $2,000 out of 84. And so shit happens, you know, and it's not the fact that things will go wrong, because they will. There will be obstacles. It's how you deal with them, and like Derek said, it doesn't become a roadblock, because you know it's going to happen to all of us. Nothing's ever a straight line from where you are to where you want to be, and it's the fact that you know that going in, and you're willing to be prepared and do the work to overcome those obstacles.
I love that. Nothing's ever a straight line from where you are to where you want to be. Everybody wants to get on the train, thinking they're just going to get off the stop that's convenient, but it
Never
doesn't
works
work
that
that
way.
way. We got to get a question from up top, though. It's hard to see you guys up there. If somebody had a question up top. Yep, go ahead.
It sounds like so.
Questions to Mark. How many, over the last 5 years, about how many businesses do you invest in every year? What's the percent of success and failure?
I'm probably, I don't know per year, but I'm probably invested in 100 in a few companies, and over the last 30 years, maybe 200 companies, because some have been sold, and out of those 200, probably 25 have gone belly up. So and look, I'm not saying all these things have been major successes either, but yeah, I mean, I try to be very careful. I try not to play a numbers game with my investment where it's like, okay, as long as 10% hit it, I don't care about the other 90%. I really try to recognize that this is somebody's life, somebody's dream, somebody's ambition, and try to work with them to develop it.
This is the last question down here on the left.
Hey, how you doing? My name's Doug. This question was for Derek. I work with the ad agency that created your final Gatorade ad, but I just kind of wanted to get your perspective on how you create your brand image, work with your ad agencies, come up with the concepts, because I had read that you were highly involved with that final Gatorade ad. Also, the final Brand Jordan ad, just a little POV on that.
Yeah, you know, I think one thing that I'd learned throughout my career, you know, when I first came up, I didn't realize that you could actually say no. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of ads or commercials or some things that if I could go back, I would have said no to. I had one Nike commercial, and I don't think anyone even saw it, thank God. But we went to the old club that John Travolta in Saturday Night Fever.
Studio 54.
Man, I'm telling you, I was out there and I was doing dance moves on
one of these things, you know. Like
it was baseball moves.
Thank God for YouTube, right?
I don't think you can. Well, I'm not going to challenge anybody. Forget I mentioned it, but I didn't realize that I could actually say no at the time. And you know, you talk about the last couple ads that you brought up. You know, the Jordan ad that that was their idea. You know, they wanted to be a commercial where people tip their caps to me out of respect, and you know, I thought that was a great commercial. But when it came to the Gatorade ad, I wanted to flip it, and I wanted to have the opportunity to thank the fans, because for us as professional athletes and Mark as an owner, you know, it's great to compete, but it wouldn't be the same if the arena or the stadium was empty. So I wanted to get the opportunity to thank the fans, and I think it came across well. I wish I could have been able to thank all the fans, but that was my way of sort of reaching out to them and thanking them.
Cool. Closing note, just curious, on the community service stuff, you know, obviously you have your turn 2. You started the foundation 20 years ago. Now that you have a little extra time, I mean, is there any vision on where that's going? How important is community service? And
it's very important. You know, I started the foundation back in 1996, and one of our signature programs is called the Jeter's Leaders Program, and these are our kids, high school students that are very, very active, not only in their schools but in their community. And you know, one of the themes of the foundation, the theme of that particular program is social change, which I think is fitting now when you take into consideration everything that's happened in Ferguson, here in New York, and the young boy that was shot in Cleveland recently. The thing we've always promoted our kids to go out there and understand the power of their voice and standing up for what they believe in, and this perfect time for that. And I really like seeing all the rallies and the protests that are out there and people saying what they believe in. I'm talking about people of all different races, all different nationalities, and what you want is you want to make sure that those are productive, and you don't want any more violence, you don't want any more arrests, but we're very happy and very excited with our kids. They're impressive kids. You've worked with a few of them as well.
The G to Leader program is unbelievable. I've had a few in my office. I mean, I love these kids. Because it's really given them a path right to college. It's taken incredible talent that may not get that chance. And I've had, I think, 3 G to Leaders. I mean, I think they're better than half.
Yeah, we've had 100% of our leaders have gone on to college in the last 9 years. So it's some impressive kids.
Yeah. Love the turn too. Your sister really has done an amazing job there. You get involved probably with so much different community, but you've got the Mavs. Is there something personal though for you at this point?
Yeah, I mean, there's different organizations. I have, and I don't want to go into them honestly, just because all my rules of my fraternity with charities, with the exception of a group called the Fallen Patriot Fund, where when people who have gone to war in Iraq, Afghanistan, wherever, and have run into personal financial difficulty, we'll fund them. But I think there's too many charities and not enough charity, right? And so I try to work directly, and whenever I do, the rule is it has to be anonymous. You can't make an announcement because I want to do it for the right reasons. I do have 2. I have the Fallen Patriot Fund and a group called Little Heroes, which is the largest inner city baseball group and basketball organization in the country. And so there's a couple that I'll put my name on, but other than that, I really just try to do it for the right reason. Because like Derek said earlier, people will use your name and try to turn it into something, and it goes away from being charity. And I want it to always be about the kids and the organization. So.
Okay, well, thank you guys. Cyber Dust, the Player Tribune, Steiner Sports. We want to thank also, I forgot to thank the Pink Tie and Private Pass. And USA Today, some sponsors of the breakfast this morning. You guys are great. I mean, it's amazing just to be able to share an hour with you guys and talk about this stuff. And thank you, Derek, for everything you do, too. Thank you. Thank you, Mark. And thank you.